No news is just no news. I'm not going to say it's good. I'll say it's bad. It's just no news. And that's where we're at with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. He's been sidelined with a PCL sprain since December 4th. They have a road playoff game this weekend against division rival Cincinnati Bengals. So what's going on? What do we make? How do we unpack this Lamar Jackson lack of availability of practice in games right now over the last month and as they look ahead?
Yeah, it's tough because as you look at John Harbaugh's comments throughout this time over this past month, it's like it continues to change. When Lamar first got hurt, it was just like, all right, it's kind of day-to-day. He may be able to play this next week. And then it was like, all right, he wasn't able to play. And then it's just like, all right, he may not be able to go, but it's right around the corner. Then it was just like I'm going to coach the players that are here that are available. And now it's kind of like, oh, it's confident he'll be ready for the playoffs. And now the playoffs are here. And it's just like, well, really don't have any update. So it's kind of confusing what's going on. And it's like, all right, is John Harbaugh just trying not to give the next team a competitive advantage so we continue early on to say, all right, Lamar's going to play? Lamar, we haven't heard from him, which I expect because when players are hurt, the one thing within the locker room is just, all right, don't talk about your injuries. The head coach will handle it. If you're asked about it, refer to your head coach. So I think that's why we haven't heard from Lamar. People are questioning that. But from a Ravens standpoint, it's just like, all right, is the injury just not going as planned? You kind of set a timetable early on, but you never know how any given person is going to heal. For Lamar Jackson, his game very much so relies on his ability to move around the pocket, to be able to have the quarterback runs. The last thing you want is Lamar getting ready to play in a practice in a game and the trainer standing there putting a mountain of tape around his knee for him to go out there and now his gauge changed and he's not running confidently and all of those different things. So I think the bigger question is, like, what's going on behind the scenes? Is it just not healing right, or is there more to it while we keep hearing a change of tune from the head coach?
Let's get to the more to it. Can we address the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
I mean, these next 48 hours might be the most important 48 hours that Lamar's had in his career since his MVP season. Like, are you playing or not? He hasn't practiced since December 4th. And I don't think the Ravens coaches know. I'm watching Harbaugh. He's not one to... I don't think he knows because I don't think they know if Lamar is going to suit up. Now, the elephant in the room, of course, is that, yeah, there's a game this weekend and play hurt, not play hurt. We'd love to see Lamar gut it out. We also understand you don't want to play if you're... There's
we don't know if he's cleared.
I'm talking contract here. Is this a business move? And is there a business decision to be made for Lamar Jackson? And if I'm not 100%, do I risk it? Do I go out there and play? My contract's up. Is this out of a power play to say, hey, this is the Ravens without me on the field? This is what it looks like. Or is Lamar truly saying, like, I would do anything in my power to take the field and lead these men onto the field? And should he feel that way as an individual who's got $200 million laying in the balance the day after they lose in the playoffs or the day after they win the playoffs in the Super Bowl? I think this is a question of Lamar's bigger picture than just, can Lamar go on the knee or not? And I'm not questioning his motivation, and I'm not questioning the Ravens from their side as far as what they want. I believe that if Lamar can't go, he can't physically go to play. I'm not questioning his toughness. But then what? Because now you're talking 2 years in a row that Lamar didn't play the month of December or January. And now do you give $250 million to a guy who hasn't been available the final month of the season the past 2 years? So many questions. And if Lamar doesn't play, does this go from the Ravens have been begging Lamar to come back as they were all summer, please, we'll try to negotiate, to now the Ravens, do we have to move on? Like, do we look at another option? This is the fascinating stuff, and it's uncomfortable because we're week to week and we're all this stuff, and we don't want to ever think that there's a bigger thing at play and there's business at play. But when Lamar has no agent, doesn't have the marketing apparatus behind him, and the coaches don't know if he's able to go or not, and the doctors have been working with him, I think it's fair to at least question, is there a bigger question mark or a bigger story here at play than just, is Lamar healthy enough to play?
Well, the fact that he played this season knowing he didn't have a contract, I think that kind of gives him the benefit of the doubt. Like, yes, he's banged up right now, so maybe he is not going to play if he's not healthy. But at the same time, he went into this season without any guarantees for next season and has played before he was injured, has played healthy. So I think we heard from Mark Andrews in the preseason, all these guys, and were just like, no, Lamar's a guy that wants to win, and he's going to go out there and play. So I don't have a reason to question that now.
I'm not questioning whether he wants to play. I think he wants to play. The question is, if you're 60% and you don't have this giant contract thing looming, do you say, let's just wrap me up, let's go, coach? Or now is it a bigger question? If you were a friend of his, not a teammate, a friend in his life, and Lamar says, I think I can go, I don't know, I haven't been. What is your advice to him?
Each player is different. I've played with guys who had the biggest contract at their position in the NFL, and if they were banged up, they're not playing. Their thought process was, I'm not going to put bad film out there and go and show when I know I'm not 100%.
In a playoff game.
In any game. If I'm not 100%, I can't help us win. There's other guys at 25%. Give me however I can to get on the football field. You're going to have to drag me off limping. So it's more of a mentality of how that player is. And to be honest, neither one of them are wrong, because I've gone out there and played games where I'm banged up and you look terrible and you're being evaluated on that same film. And the big contract you have in the offseason, they're bringing you in, showing you the plays where you look bad, where you were hurt, and it's like, all right, we're going to have to let you go. And now I look at other guys who have said, you know what, I'm not going out there. They keep that contract, or if they are released, the film that's out there is all positive film. So it's all a mentality, and there is no wrong. There's people that are sitting on the couch like, oh my goodness, Lamar, it's a playoff game. You should go play at whatever percentage you have. No, you've never done it, so you can't comment. And it's totally up to him. If he's not healthy, hell, don't play.
Well, I don't think it's a matter even of Lamar of putting tape out there. Like, the Ravens know who he is. It's a matter of you worsen your injury, or you can suffer another injury. I can't protect myself, and now I'm even more injured. The silence is deafening. That's the problem, is that Harbaugh's not saying anything, and then, you know, we haven't even gotten anything from Lamar, such as, keep working hard, trying to get back. Like, you look at his timeline, it's like something about his birthday and something about the video games, and then he's got all these DeMar Hamlin tweets, which are great, but, like, nothing about, like, still grinding, Ravens Nation, can't wait to be. You don't know. So that invites the skepticism of, hold on a second. We got $250 million hanging in the balance. Maybe this player is saying, maybe I could probably get out there, but why? For who? For what? So we can lose to the Bengals and then I injure myself further? And I don't believe Lamar Jackson is that type of person, because he's played through everything. And because not only did he enter the season without a contract, he entered the season saying, I don't even want to talk about a contract. I have a cutoff. I have a deadline. So don't come offering me week 3 $250 million. I don't want to have that conversation. So I think he's earned that right. But there's a lot of questions about, with that much money at stake, and we haven't seen from you or heard from you, what are you going to do? This is a 9-4 team who has fallen apart since he's left. They were having a hell of a season. They beat the Bengals. Like, they could do some things this year, but not without this guy. And listen, his job right now in his current contract and the current game check that he'll get this weekend is to do everything he can possibly do to get on the field and help the Ravens win. And if there's any part of him that is playing the long play of, yeah, but, you know, that's not his job. Would
it help us if the doctors were like, Lamar is cleared to play, or Lamar cannot play, or is that just not
anything would help?
I actually think that that's where this whole situation lies. Is like, we are grasping for things, to Kyle's point, that why is it that we just need an answer, a definition from a physician for us to give us better clarity as to why Lamar Jackson is doing something or why he isn't doing something. You guys remember in early December when we were having a really painful Aaron Rodgers conversation about, like, should the Packers go Jordan Love? Should they not? And we had that, I had that brain map out of, like, well, if they went Jordan Love, but he plays crappy, here's what you get. If he plays well, here's what you get. This, to me, feels like that brain map, like, tenfold, because I go way back to the initial injury. Like, what if it's worse than we actually heard? What if he knows in his mind that, like, there is no way in hell I was ever I don't know why they said weeks. I'm not talking, you're the one that said weeks. I was never going to be available. Was that a Ravens play? There are so many permutations of how the situation has gone down from the second the injury happened. Frankly, from the second the season started and we had to stop talking about his contract, that we somehow have landed here, down at this little decision bubble, but the way this thing has unfolded have been the decisions by a lot of different gentlemen in positions of power within the Ravens and one quarterback, and it's along the way, there could have been a tiny schism and a tiny thing there where there could be cracks here where we are now seeing a situation unfold between ownership, management, coaches, and Lamar Jackson that I think could affect his contract in the long run that maybe wasn't going to take place in the first place. You know what it all goes back to? And I know they're probably listening in Cleveland, like, what do we do? You gave Deshaun Watson that contract, you set a bar. Yes. And Lamar Jackson is not wrong in saying I should not take $1 less than Deshaun Watson. Yes. And the Ravens...
You get both sides of it.
They know that he's going to say that and demand that. Right?
Yeah, and it's like, this is a very tricky situation. And if they don't, someone will, right? Do you think?
Yeah, probably. Look, I've seen him out there. We work around SNY, all right? This is this in-house Jets thing. I'm walking through the hallways here, and they got a mock-up of Lamar in a Jets uniform, and they're having a topic on their show about could Lamar be a Jet next year. The Ravens would have to say, with that money and that injury history, we love you, you're a great Raven, but I think we're going to turn the page, and it'll be a massive decision.
Do you think if he doesn't play this weekend, and I don't know, I'm spoken to the Ravens guys about this, but if he doesn't play this weekend, do you think the fan base, because they're all Lamar, the Ravens fan, do you think the fan base would support team or Lamar if they were to say, you know what, we might want to
I think they would support franchise tag.
Franchise tag. It's kind of the purgatory in between.
Yeah.
Yep. And Lamar would hate it, and maybe he would hold out, and maybe be terrible. But that's what I
can't
would
let
do.
him walk out the door.
Yeah.
Can't
I would franchise tag him.
A lot more information has to come out about the situation.
Might not.
That's what.
Honestly, might not, Jamie.
Yeah.
I hear that, but
Injury stuff. It's not going
It's been 5 weeks. It's been since August.
Is he going to be on the field? Is he going to
So they
throw?
didn't practice yesterday. They're in the building today.
Oh.
The thought is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're practicing. We got a game on
He's gotta be
Sunday.
out there.
And there's practicing, and then there's that footage of the guy trotting around. Like, we haven't even seen that. He's not on a treadmill.
no
He's
trot.
not. No
He comes
trot.
down that little tunnel,
Yeah,
say
and
hi
then
to the
cameras
fans,
get
and
out of
all that.
here. We've seen him trot, and there's been no trot.